Welcome back, everybody, to Rob's MetalWorks. We are continuing our work in support of the best out of San Antonio, and it brings me great pleasure to welcome the originators, the true originators of rap rock in San Antonio. I have with me the band called Saving Jackie. Welcome, everybody, to the program.
Hi.
Hello. Thank you for having us.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, we've been having a great time tonight already. But, you know, as I was preparing for this interview, so much to fucking talk about, I think. And I was thinking, you know, initially I have to go back, man. I have to go back and talk about Jackie on Acid, because there were so many people who knew that band back in the day, and tonight we have so many youngsters out there who are keeping up with our program in the San Antonio scene who may not remember Jackie on Acid because it's been quite some time. But I remember Jackie on Acid. I remember being a fan. I remember digging the vibe, and you guys were doing this rap rock thing, and you guys were doing it well, and I think that's what I loved most about it. So first of all, let's kind of start there. And my first question is, you know, I had the pleasure and privilege of watching the band perform a couple of times. And, you know, I was thinking, Jackie on Acid, wow, that's a cool name. So what was the initial kind of vision for the band, or the vibe for Jackie on Acid at that time? What were you thinking, you know, because of the name and what you're delivering musically? What was what you were trying to portray in the scene at that time?
I think, honestly, it was more a situation where Anthony and Jenny and Tracy got together and they decided to create something different than we had in San Antonio. And it was just a process. I mean, we went through several members in the band. Yeah. And
mostly guitar players, right?
Oh God, yeah. Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of always like that.
It's I mean, we were blessed to be played with some amazing guitar players. Some of them that stuck around, some that didn't stick around because of whatever reason. And that, I think, honestly, that's what kind of diversified our songs, is because we wrote songs with different guitar players.
Yeah.
So it was a different feel for each song sometimes. But
still within that rock, that rap rock genre.
Definitely, man. It was really cool to play with these guys, and some people that I was very big fans of in other bands that they offered to help us out. And it was just amazing. Even some people that helped us on the studio was amazing.
Yeah, unbeknownst to me, I found out recently that Damien Oman was one of those people, and I didn't really initially know that.
Yeah, Damien was with us for quite a bit, and then also Eddie Hernandez from Sunday, local band Sunday, and Manizer Sabo right now is another band he's playing with right now that's kicking ass. And it's just crazy that we got a chance to play with these really like phenomenal guitar players. But as for the origination, like I said, it was Anthony, Jenny, and Tracy, and Anthony had this vision of doing stuff, and it just took off. And eventually I became a member. I wasn't the original bass player, so I became a member later on. And it just took off into its own thing, and it kept snowballing for a while. And then we had the idea of another thing people weren't doing. They were merging, doing a lot of crossover shows. So we were doing a lot of crossover shows with punk, alternative, instrumental, than us. So my idea was, I want to get all those people's fans at our gig. So you just times 4 your audience. Mm-hmm. Sure. And then eventually we started doing art openings or art exhibits. And so that was a lot of cool shows also. We have like some artists out that are blowing up. Nick Soup, who does a lot of graffiti arts here in town. He's like an international and national. He tours the U.S. doing spray paint gallery stuff. And he was doing a lot of stuff for us at that time also. Alex Rubio, also an amazing painter. Alex Rubio, he has stuff at the San Antonio Museum of Art. He has a 7-foot painting of me wearing my pig face mask.
Wow.
That is, I'm still trying to track that down and get it.
Alex sold some art piece to Cheech Marin, I believe.
Yeah, he does. He has several Cheech Marin has several of his pieces.
Yeah.
Back at that time, you know, like the late 90s, you know, rap rock was a big thing, you know, especially because of like Rage Against the Machine and then all the subsequent bands that came along with it. What was it? Was that always, Jen, was that always for you kind of something that you wanted to do? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I always did, was rapping like different rap groups. But it was never like a live band like that. Jackie Band was the very first time that I actually did like
With
a
live musicians.
yeah.
It was all like samples.
yeah tracks, samples, and stuff like that.
And what was the premise of the name Jackie on Acid?
Well,
I mean, we all did acid back in the day, but was that it?
the story that I remember hearing and they don't remember hearing, so this gets kind of shady after 20 years almost, is one of our previous guitar players, he was playing in another band that he had a name called Jackie and Acid that didn't come to fruition, and then it used the name for this group. But the story of the line is apparently there's a song, a Rage song that has a line talking about I want to be like Jackie Onassis. And I can't remember what song it is. Like, I'm not saying this is the way it is, but he thought he heard Jackie on Acid. And so he's like, oh, that's a cool band name.
Yeah.
So we'll use that. So we're still trying to figure out what song it is from Rage Against the Machine that worked out that way. But I don't know if that's the case. So
yeah. The band, had a lot of great moments. When you think, I mean, we're standing here in 2020, almost like 20 years now. When you think back on that time, like what are some of your fondest memories? What do you remember the most about that time? And also, what do you remember about who you were at that time? Because obviously we're different people these days.
yeah.
I was young and wild.
Really?
Well,
You don't say.
We were so much younger at that time, and it was like let's do the show, let's go. We're like,
kids.
no kids. It's like, okay,
yeah.
do we have a show in Austin tomorrow? They asked us
go.
to play. Let's go.
Yeah.
And it's a different game now, man. We're all older. We're all parents, and life just kind of comes in, and you got to do what you got to do and try to fit the band in it somewhere. But my best memory of the band are like the shows we did that were like crazy art gallery shows.
Those were cool.
Those were a lot of fun.
Why those shows over like a show at Medieval Nights or at another metal venue?
It was just because the people that were there were not people that you would see at Medieval Nights.
Yeah.
I mean, we had great shows at Medieval Nights. We had amazing shows. We opened up for Fu Manchu Medieval Nights. We opened for Papa Roach Medieval Nights. Amazing shows. Skate Nigs. We played for Skate Nigs. But when,
7 out of White.
yeah, that's right.
Two Live Crew.
Oh, that's right. That was later on. I wasn't in. I wasn't there at that time, but yeah, it's like those gigs were like you got to play those shows to those people that had never seen you, and you could see the reaction on their face, like wow, like what's this? And that's where we kind of struck a chord. Like we played in Houston one time. And it's at Fitzgerald's, and Mighty Boston's were playing upstairs, and we're downstairs, and we played for this.
We opened up for them.
No, we played downstairs, somewhere on the downstairs floor. And when we did the gig, the crowd like responded pretty crazy to us, and the sound guys are like, man, they don't respond like that to anyone from out of town.
Right.
That's not common for someone to react that way to the show. And so I like those venues where you're doing a gig where people are not knowing what you are, what you play, and not expecting what you're going to do. And then you just start playing, and like, wow, they're awesome.
Our best show was in College Station. I think that's the best show.
Really?
Because when we got there, it started off as, I was told it was going to be a music festival.
Like impromptu music festival.
And then we get there, our start time I think was 9:30, like 9 o'clock, or nobody was inside the venue. They said, okay, you guys are going to start at 9:30. So we did the first song. Nobody was there. Second song, nobody was there. Third song, I looked up. My back was facing the glass of the front of the venue, and people are looking, peeking in, and I could see people looking back at us, looking in, and they're all coming in. But I think by the time we got to the sixth song, right, the place was packed. Yeah. Remember that? Yeah. It was packed with people. I mean, it was just all standing room only, and. It went from being upset to being excited. This is a cool show. Yeah, and then we played our whole set, and they're like, everybody's yelling at one more song. So I think we played our set a second time, right? Yeah, because we didn't have any more songs. We played our set a second time.
Yeah, that's right. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah.
Jen, what do you think about when you think about the old days?
The old days, just all the fun that we had. Like practicing, putting in a lot of hard practice.
You guys are pretty. When I would see you guys, especially because y'all had the two vocalists at the time, I always thought like you guys were never like stumbling over each other. It was always a pretty seamless kind of delivery with the rap, and you guys both knew how to throw down. Yeah, and even with the music, I can imagine how difficult that would be, kind of syncing it, performing it live.
Oh, no. Tracy and I came, we had started rapping together back in like 93. So, like we had that whole time to mesh in and stuff. And then once the band came in, like it was just, just cake.
Honestly,
just
with
write
them,
and rap.
It was crazy because like they always had to do the same thing even with different guitar players.
Right.
And that's the other thing is like, hey, they have different guitar players have different vibes, but they were able to still
Work with it.
work where they're going to be at. And now and I think about it now. I mean, what you're talking about, it's like I was listening to the recordings in the back in the day. It was like there were a lot of like call and response kind of stuff in their singing.
Well, the band kind of ended in 2003. What kind of caused the end of the band?
Gosh.
I mean, I kind of stepped out of it after a while because I was in school and stuff, and I wanted to go further, and I felt like, if I stay in the band, we could go so much farther, but everyone has priorities, everyone has stuff, we can't tour. It's like, and me personally, my thing was like, I'd rather leave the band and be friends with all of y'all than stay in the band and then resent y'all. Right. And so, I mean, and it's one of those, it was kind of a hard decision to make, but at the same time, it was like, I'm glad I did, because there's no animosity.
Yeah.
Sure.
That was for me.
You had love too.
I think it was just there's a point in time, you just know it's time to end it, right? I mean,
because we all clicked together. I mean, when me and him worked together, we were like business wise and stuff like that. So when I left, it kind of just changed dynamics and stuff.
It was time. It was time to end it. It was 5 years kicking butt, 5 years of playing, booking, just everything, and it just after a while, I think it's just time. You just know it was time to end it. So we did, and we did a last gig at Sin 13.
We did Sin 13. It's I guess
Yeah.
I think it's like $5 cover. You show up. We had all these CDs still from the print.
Right.
I was like, you show up, you got a free CD.
Speaking of that, I was going to message you because I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. I haven't dug into my archive. I don't know if I have the original EP or the demo that y'all released. Yeah, there's two, right?
The Songs of Love and Devotion. That's the one. That was the first one. Remember? It was called Songs of Love and Devotion, and I loved it because I did that. And then we actually sold that CD. It was that EP, the first recording we did. Yeah.
Wow. So there was an EP and an LP.
Yeah. So the LP, at the end of the LP, we included the songs from that first EP onto the LP.
Okay.
So they had everything we did at Tribal Studio, right? Yeah.
No,
not Tribal. It was
in ITG in the garage.
Yes.
with Wade.
With Wade.
With Wade Parker. And then we did we put those at the end of it. And then,
Do you still have copies of that?
I think I could try to get you one.
I mean, even if you don't have the hard copy, I mean, if you could just send me the tracks, that'd be great. How many tracks were on that LP?
Like 9, right? 8 or 9.
9, really?
And yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, and we also did. There's a spoken word piece on there from a friend of mine who's a local poet, Victoria Zapata. Yeah.
Wow.
And she did a piece called La Lucha Heredada, the inherited struggle.
Again, kind of lending to your connection to the art world.
Yeah, and that's mainly what I asked her. And so we did her stuff, and then we did me and my friend Bob Dog, who does a recording studio, and he's works with. I've been in a band with Bob Dog and Pseudo Buddha. We did an ambient soundtrack behind it and all this kind of stuff, and it sounded amazing. And then we used that into the intro to our last song, which tied into that poem.
Yeah.
So it was a cool experience, man. It was kind of like spur of the moment kind of thing.
Yeah, but it all fit.
Yeah.
So now we sit here in support of a new era. The band is now called Saving Jackie. And I remember talking with Anthony, last year, and he was telling me about, the kind of reformation of the band. And he came over and he brought me tickets. And I shared this story earlier, and he was adamant about me coming to see you play. and he was telling me that you guys were going to record at Stone Creek, and we'll talk about that later. But I remember, I thought Anthony was going to come over and drop the tickets off, and later I got to go home. And he actually stayed here, and we talked for like a couple of hours, and we really kind of reconnected. And he was telling me about all of the evolution of not only, what you guys wanted to deliver as a band, but obviously the reflection of the new band is a reflection of the individuals. And how you, obviously, we're not the same people we were 20 years ago, but he was telling me, Rob, this is what we are, this is what we're delivering, you got to check it out. And so when he initially sent me the tracks, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. It sounds great. I want to be on it. So as we start talking about Saving Jackie, I think the first question that kind of popped into my mind was, why the name change? Why did you decide to change the name from Jackie on Acid to Saving Jackie?
Well, I always thought the name Jackie was always a real nice, catchy name for a group. I just didn't know what to add to it, right? And I wanted something to be a little more positive than Jackie on Acid. So,
well, I always thought of the name Jackie on Acid because back in the day, when it never came to fruition, I wanted to create a character like what was it, the Gorillas? We have this one cartoon character that would be our little character, and then we just base it on it. But it never happened. So the same Jackie, I think it's like actually pretty cool. I mean, to me in my head, it ties into that for me personally.
But I thought something a little more positive. That was that band Saving Benjamin, and then I've always liked that had a good ring to it. So I just talked to my sister one day. Hey, what do you think about Saving Jack? Oh, that's cool. And then anyway, my brother-in-law was there. He liked it, and then we put the name on the shelf for a little bit. And my sisters, we were talking about putting a band together again. I was like, I don't know. We'll see. Let's do it. So then I'm like, okay, well then we'll use the name Saving Jackie that we talked about a couple of years prior to that. And so yeah, we put out an ad, auditioned with other musicians, and then of course again, lineup change, and then I started talking to Jerry on the phone, and we kept in contact. John saw the ad, reached out that we were looking for guitarists and bass players. And that's how we.
Initially, I was playing guitar on this group, and then we had another bass player. But then he explained to me, like, "Oh, that bass player will be temporary." It's like when I'm switching back to bass, I'm like, after I bought us a guitar rig, okay, I guess so now. After spending $1,000, I spent $1,000 on like $1,500 on the rig. Oh, sure, it's okay, I guess so. But yeah, man. So I just went back to my familiar thing I do. So
it's just kind of say, hey, this is a new era.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost a year to the over a year, because I just my Facebook feed popped up, and we had a picture of the night we decided we wanted to do this of us three. We decided we were going to do this, and I was like, wow, that's like it was just literally over a year ago.
Yeah, but then to also write, and then to get like
members.
Jerry, and then the newest one's Rick. So yeah, that's how it all.
Yeah, because when I had kind of heard it, when Anthony told me, oh, we're called Saving Jackie now, I'm like, oh, okay. When I think about, especially after I heard the tracks, and we're going to talk about this later, hopefully in depth, but, the saving part, it's like, we are not, we're not doing acid anymore, but...
I've never done acid. Just saying.
For the record, speak for yourself.
I am.
So but the thing is, when the moniker to the public, when they think of that, oh, okay, yeah, but now it's like Saving Jackie. It's like we are in a new kind of part in our lives where we need to find some kind of redemption or salvation as we continue in this really different phase in life where we encounter much more struggle, and we have to overcome. And we are responsible people now because we have homes and children, spouses that we are liable to. So the whole Saving Jackie part to me really hit home. It kind of like made me think like, yeah, you know, we're not kids anymore. We're adults, and we are wanting to kind of say that we can continue to be fruitful and productive and still fucking rock out, you know, right? We can still rock. So, you know, you guys are the original members. And then let's take this opportunity to introduce Jerry and Rick to the band. Jerry, you know, I've loved your vibe tonight, man, as we listen to all this music tonight. And we're like, yeah, Rob, I like that. I like that. I like that. And you were telling me you're not historically from San Antonio. You've been here for a little bit, but you're a transplant. But, you know, I saw you perform in the band's first show, and we'll talk about that later, too. But talk a little bit about how it's kind of been like incorporating yourself into already kind of what has kind of been a foundation that is built, and you've kind of had to come in and be part of that.
Well, it's been a pretty amazing experience to play with these guys. These guys, as you know, they talked about earlier, have been around for quite a while. And I've always had a background with, like, you know, playing a lot of Pantera stuff and Metallica growing up. And I don't know, those are just my inspiration every time not every time, but a big inspiration when I write a song or something like that musically. And I try to incorporate that with the style that we have, which is the rap rock. And it seems to be working really well. These musicians are great. I mean, they're very professional, and when we collaborate, you know, it just all comes together. And it's a pretty amazing experience.
When did you start playing guitar?
I started playing at age 15. And just self-taught, basically. I never went to school for it, had nobody teach me. I was the kind of guy that when cassette tapes were available, I would hear my favorite song, I would go to the local music store, buy my favorite band, and it was pause and play, and I would go everywhere on that neck until I hit that note, and pause and play till I hit the next note, until I learned the whole entire song. It was a long, strenuous process. Dedication. But
I also say this, that I love the backing vocals that you're doing too.
Thank you. I just started doing some backing vocals with Saving Jackie, and trying to get my screaming voice going again a little bit, other than harmony, basic harmony, and it's coming together really well.
Yeah. Rick, what about you? You're a native San Antonian.
Yes, very amazing experience with these guys. Our first gig on December 28th, it felt so natural. It's like we all meshed, and no nerves. Little kinks, of course. I haven't been on stage in 10 years, since Seven Perfect.
You know what's funny? We told the sound guy that this is our first gig. He's like, no way, it's your first gig. I was like, oh, yeah, it's your first gig.
Yeah, I'm just very happy to be here. Anthony called me the day before Thanksgiving. Said, hey man, I know it's been like 8 months since I talked to you. We have a gig at the end of the month. Are you still interested? Yeah, let's do it. And we're coming upon our third gig, and I'm just the real test was the other night as we're writing some new material, and it's coming along great. Yeah. And I'm gonna give the mic back to you. Thank you.
You guys, upon the return of Saving Jackie, it's kind of like I kind of had assumed, even before when Anthony and I met, he says, Rob, I'm going to get you these tracks. I had already kind of assumed that, it was going to continue in the same vein as Jackie on Acid, that the rap rock vibe was going to still be there, because kind of that's what Jackie on Acid was known for. And then when I heard the tracks, I'm like, man, yeah. The apple didn't fall too far from the tree here. Great guitar work on this EP. And we're going to talk about the release of the EP here in a little bit. But what I think initially what caught me, okay, there's the music, then there's the lyrics. And when I really started listening to the lyrics, it was a total different vibe, right? So to me, there was this spiritual vibe. Obviously, there's kind of this religious kind of vibe, and I know that Jenny and Anthony, his brother and sister, are Christians, and they have a lot of spirituality and faith in their lives as human beings, and obviously that's going to come across in the music. So when you decided to come back, I mean, what was the reason for you to come back to music again after all this time?
For me, I had gotten really sick in 2015, and I had labs done, and the doctor came in and was just like staring at me and was like, "Oh, no. I am surprised that you're not in a coma and you're not dead," and that got me. And my spouse was there and my son, and I was just like in tears and I was crying and I was scared. And then I had thought, well, you know what? I mean, I have music and I got lyrics and I got stuff, and I have been like waiting all these years to do something, and I got stuff that's just built, that's just there that needs to come out, but it's under God's timing.
Right.
And so, I going through like different pills and different meds and all of that stuff, like trying to get myself balanced out and my hair not falling out and all of that. So, the band just came up. And so those things that, that I go through, those things that the sadness and the depression and, just all those feelings and thoughts and stuff, I just write it all out.
In that song, My Everything, you say 2015 got a lot to get with. So it was like, 2015 I got a lot to get with. I better get busy, and while I'm here on this earth, better do what I need to do.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Very much.
I loved it.
Sorry, I almost cried.
Don't.
Like, fight it!
Cry.
This is the Mero show. Don't cry.
Save it.
See, you need a tissue.
To me, and I think really the success of this EP has been that fact, is that you are
Very personal.
so personal and brutally honest. Like, I'm going through this, my family's going through this, and then not only that, like saying, oh, you're not just saying, oh, woe's me. You're saying,
Right.
okay, I'm still here, and I'm gonna fight, and I got a message to say, and I'm gonna proclaim it. And that's, to me, when I started listening to these songs and really absorbing them lyrically, I was like, man, this is so cool, because they're like just putting yourself out there, and some people will get it and some people won't.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but it sounds, it sounds good either way, so.
Cool. And for some of you people out there who may not know, the band released their 3-song EP. Just came out last year, right? What was the date that it came out?
Just recently, a couple of weeks ago.
About a month ago.
About a month ago.
Yeah.
So it's out there. They can get it on all music outlets.
Yeah.
iTunes, Spotify, everywhere.
Apple Music.
Apple Music, everywhere.
The other song that I really dig, I dig all of them. The My Faith song too is a really cool song. Again, kind of Jen as a lyricist, you're kind of talking about like, oh, when I listen to that song, it's like a more like a self-esteem song. And I think one of the lines that you wrote in there was something like, I love my face, or something like that. He helped me love my face.
My face.
Amen.
He's helped me to know my place.
Yeah.
Now I have purpose and I'm living in His grace.
Yeah. So there's so many people out there who deal with just loving themselves.
Right. Like me. So, it took me years and years.
And how has your faith kind of helped you through that?
Well, I'm still here. That's how it helped me.
Well, I mean, that's kind of very simply said, because there are people who cannot deal with the struggle, and then we hear about suicides and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. So, it's helped me with like to have peace, joy, and love. And then to also, like, it's not just for me, but it's like it's for me. But then if there's like a person that feels down and out and stuff, then then I'm healed from certain things, right? And I can share my music or my lyrics or, you know, like my stories and stuff and hope, right? God willing, then it'll lift up that other person to want to live.
And you do that, not to get off Saving Jackie, but you kind of do that through Saving Jackie, and you kind of do that through your church.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty cool. I think that's really
Church
cool.
too, yeah.
I follow you on social media.
Cool.
Silence the Storm is the third track on the EP. Again, a very cool track. What I love about, I think musically too, is like these songs just like are just rocking. Yeah. They're just fucking rocking, and I think they sound, you know, we were talking about listening to this record earlier, just the amazing sound and production on this record. Where did you guys record this record?
Stone Creek Sound.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's amazing. I mean,
Yeah, talk a little bit about the experience of recording over there.
recorded with our old bandmate Damien, and kind of brought us in and here. I did a little tour of the studio. I'm like, this is. I walk in. I'm like, wow. I've been to this. I've recorded some really nice studios.
Yeah.
And because I did some studio session stuff, I'm like, wow, this is actually really, really cool. The layout's super chill. It's out in the hill country, cut out of a hill, dirt road to get to it. You park too late and it rains, someone gets stuck in the mud.
True story.
True story, yeah. And
No way.
We got you out.
we got you. But man, it's a phenomenal studio. I mean, it is by far so many options you have in that studio to do stuff, and they record all genres of music from death metal to gospel to blues to everything to simply acoustic stuff, and everything I've heard out of them so far is just coming out great.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that they got an ear. We trusted Damien. I mean, I know I know Anthony was kind of skeptical about it, but in my head I was like, man, he knows what we sound like because he played with us.
Yeah.
He knows what we're going for.
And I think too, like I know Damien's a Christian,
Yes.
so I think, you know, on a personal level, that kind of connects you. And, you know, if he is understanding the message and the vibe, then you can't get any better than that.
And then to have the gear to do it. I mean, that's that's the big one right there. I walked into it and he has like 10 different amplifiers you could use at one time, and you could actually, I want that sound, I want this sound together. We'll blend them together. I want this and that. You blend them together, and just not tracking it, but they have a great Clifton, right? His name Clifton. He did our mixing. And he just has amazing ear.
Cliff's a pro.
Yeah, man, it's amazing ear for what he did.
Cliff.
And so it just came into what he became. And we actually, in the producing of the song, they rewrote certain parts. Okay, try this. And so we were like, oh, that's kind of weird. And then when you finally hear the end product, like, wow, that's actually a really good idea.
And that is the job of a producer. Exactly. He's not just a recorder. He's not just recording your shit. He's producing it. So the thing about Damien is, because I've heard other music that he's worked on, is that because he's a musician, he can like, oh, well, let me show you something, or let me help you transition this, this chorus into the third verse or whatever. And that's the beauty of it. And you know,
be open to that. I mean, as a musician in the studio, and some of us are just like, we're kind of fighting as people are like, well, that's not the way I write.
Like, dude, that's my song. Don't fuck with it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Is that what Anthony was saying? No.
That's what I was thinking, but I didn't say it.
It took a while to get used to it.
Yeah. So I mean,
let them do their jobs, and that's why you're paying them the money that you do.
Exactly.
Okay, and then at the end of the day, you know, you have a cut or you have a mix, and you're like, that's not what I want. Well, let's redo it. Okay.
and it wasn't nothing like that. So much more like, okay, well, this has a little too much effect on it. Can you just
Right.
cut back on the effect? Or like, okay, can we bring this part up? Or I didn't expect that to happen like that, but that sounds great. But it's an ego. You have to get rid of ego in the studio.
Jerry was saying, turn my guitars louder.
How'd you know? I'm kidding.
That is correct.
Because his guitars are loud. I'm just kidding, guys. Let's move on.
While he is too, I'm not gonna lie, but he did a phenomenal job.
Yeah. So I was there on December 28th at your very first show at Fitzgerald's. I didn't want to miss it. What was it like, Jen, to be back on stage after all those years of kind of fronting? Really, not only back on the stage, but really kind of fronting this band alone because you had always had your partner.
Yeah, great. It was really, really, really great. Yeah, it felt like home to be back, and then just to see like all the faces out there and stuff. It was cool.
Yeah, were you nervous at all?
We got there a little early, and so to like wait all those hours, and you've heard all the bands,
Yeah.
and then you're thinking, okay, what are my lyrics and how does the song go? So I went outside and I had made like a little note, and then I went back, and then I was there, and I was fresh, and I was
In the zone.
ready to go. Yeah.
Yeah. It looked pretty seamless to me. I didn't see a lot of hiccups at all. I mean, yeah, like, well, even that's the thing. And John, you probably know better than me, but if there ever is a hiccup, don't acknowledge it on stage. Just do it, because the crowd isn't gonna know. Yeah, but it was a great show. So, Jerry, how did you feel about that first show? Because I really loved your performance. I mean, you were like a big part of it because you were like up front, and you introduced a lot of the songs with the guitars, and then you were doing the backing vocals too. And I was like, who the fuck is this dude? I've been supporting the metal scene for 25 years, and I don't even know who this dude. Yeah.
Jesus brought him out on time.
Well, it was definitely rocking, man. Like I said, these guys are professional, man. I played in a lot of smaller bands, I guess, growing up, and I've done quite a few gigs, but these cats have done way bigger stuff than I have done. I mean, obviously opening up for Two Live Crew and Papa Roach and the bands that I used to listen to growing up. So it was amazing. So I don't know. It just comes natural to me. I've just always loved rock and roll, and I've loved playing the guitar, and honestly, I'd practice in front of the mirror a few times, my choreography, to get it down packed. And, I think every musician has to do that from time to time.
Performance is a big part of it.
But it really is the chemistry. We all just have the chemistry, and we work really well with each other. I mean, if we overdo something, another band member won't hesitate to, kind of tell you to calm it down a little bit. I think when I was first practicing... So it was definitely rocking, man, and we can't wait for the next gig.
The shows are just gonna get better.
It's gonna get better. The music's gonna get better. We're writing new material. Of course, come see us at the next show, the Bang Bang Bar, the 28th. Can't wait to see you there.
Yeah, Rick, what about your thoughts on that first show?
Jenny said it a moment ago. It really felt like home. I personally, I may have said it earlier, I haven't been on stage in 10 years.
And you're over there on the left by yourself.
So, just to give
You were saying, look at me.
You had to carry that side of the stage, bro, because you're like alone.
Yeah.
I thought John was more over here, like, with Jerry, and you were kind of over there doing your thing.
Yep. Just to give the non-musicians a quick idea. So we only had 2 practices a week for 3.5 weeks, and that's for me because I just joined the band. So 2 practices a week for almost 4 weeks. I'm glad I said that roadmap in my mind and muscle memory with the guitar. That helped me get through the night. And again, just like Jerry said, we all mesh, and it just feels like family up there.
Yeah.
So I look forward to everything that's coming up ahead.
I think that sentiment crosses over into the recording. Now, I'm really glad, Jerry, that you mentioned new music, and that was something that I didn't really want to talk about because, I wanted to focus on the EP. But as we're still early in 2020, and as we look ahead, let's first talk about shows. We talked about the show tomorrow, but obviously this interview will air after that. What is the plan for 2020? What do you guys want to do for 2020?
I think
The album?
Well, I think after this show, we're gonna just focus on writing more material. We have one more gig in March, right?
June 13th.
Yeah. Oh no, we got that one in June in Fitzgerald's. I just can't remember the date.
Focusing on writing more material, and we're still on the fence of doing a full length album. I was talking to Tony about this. I know I mentioned to y'all. I want to do more EPs, because studio's not cheap.
Yeah.
Of course.
Studio's not cheap.
it's not.
So
Stone Creek ain't cheap, but you know what? But you get your money's worth. So the next show is tomorrow?
no,
it's next week.
It's next
Friday.
Week. It's the 28th, Friday the 28th, at the Bang Bang Bar. It's a free gig.
Okay, yeah, we'll be there. I'm gonna be there, and this interview will air before the 28th. So all you people out there who are digging on this band, come on out. February 28th, Bang Bang Bar. I love my sisters in Girl in the Coma who run that bar.
Yeah.
Great vibe, great fucking fixtures, and it's cool drink specials. So, and I like the kind of that small vibe, you know, and I
miss
dig
those
it.
shows. I mean, we used to play Taco Land, man. And dude, those, I gotta take back my memories. I gotta take back my favorite memories. A lot of my favorite memories. I played Taco Land since I was trying to get to Taco Land before, so I was illegal to get in there to be in a band. Couldn't get in there. Finally played there. One of the bands I was in, we played there at 3 a.m. Because Ram just said, play. But man, our jackasses sat there because we were at the end of our sets. We would start jamming, and we would let people come up and rap. And so it just became like the audience became.
I want to go around.
Hey, well, I'll start a riff. They just follow me, man.
Let's do it.
I'll give you a bass line. They can follow me. You just come on up, man.
Oh yeah.
Guys, what a great fucking interview. And, you know, I never really thought that we would have this opportunity because I remember Jackie on Acid from back in the day. And then I never thought that you guys would resurrect and come back. You know, obviously, as we become older people, we have to kind of have that, you know, aside from all our responsibilities, we kind of always want that artistic part in our lives. Yeah. It keeps us
I need it, man.
it keeps us going.
Keeps you alive, man.
Keeps you alive.
I mean, there's very few things that I need in my life. I mean, I could strip down everything, but when I don't play music, if I'm away for a year from it, it gets rough.
Yeah.
And it's an outlet, man. I mean, it's to the point where like I need to do this.
It keeps us satisfied aside from the mundane that we live every day.
Mommy, right?
Yeah,
so, you know,
mommy, always.
I'm always mom. I'm the wife and stuff. And then when it's like it's practice time or it's gig, then it's kind of like Rockstar Life.
You're like, George, stop texting me.
And I take off and jam. So it's good.
Man.
Yeah. It's really what I needed.
You need those moments.
Yeah, there's a lot more life than just working.
George is nice.
I wear a suit at work, and that's not rock and roll, man.
Rick, if you wore a T-shirt to work, you'd still be good looking.
It's all good, man.
Okay, guys, I think we've covered all the bases. So as we end out, anything I missed, any last words that you would like to share with people in San Antonio or around the world who will watch this interview?
Rock out with us. Come to our shows. We're going to be booking some more shows pretty soon. If you haven't, if you can, follow us on Facebook, Twitter.
And they can get this EP at the show.
Yeah.
Yes.
$5.
Yeah,
Stickers
$5.
also for it.
We have some T-shirts.
Hopefully, yeah.
We also ship. So
We have a Japan.
Oh yeah.
Tokyo, yeah.
Tokyo.
Oh yeah, we did that today, right?
So any last words, Jerry or Rick?
Well, hopefully you guys can make it to the show, and definitely, follow us on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. We even have a YouTube channel, and just to keep up with the latest updates, and it's just going to keep getting better and better.
Yeah.
Thank you.
As I'm sitting here thinking, and like we talked about new music, when would you guys like to have like maybe some new music out, like a product out, another EP out?
It's gonna have to wait a little while because I mean, like we said, it's not cheap to do the studio stuff, and we got to make sure we have the songs we want to do.
Right.
I mean, we could bring the studio 10 songs, and then we'll show. For instance, Damien would like, okay, you probably focus on these 3. So it's just not like, oh, these 3 songs we want to do. We want to have a kind of a catalog to bring to it, and then have the strongest songs we do.
Sure.
Right.
And actually, I mean, really, for the production of it, which they did a great job on it, and I mean, it just, we'll see where we could take it next.
Yeah.
On the next stuff.
Well, nonetheless, when you guys release new music, and hopefully maybe later this year, I'll be there on top of it. Thank you all for a great interview. Thank you for your goodwill. You guys are beautiful people. I know you guys have heart. And like I told you off camera, man, I wouldn't be doing this interview if I really was not a fan of this music. I love it. And all you people out there, be sure to look for the name Saving Jackie. Their EP just came out. 3 killer tracks. If you dig rage, if you dig all that rap rock stuff, you're gonna love this band. You saw them only right here on Rob's.